everybody. This is Margie Myers here, Director of Mission of Divine Mercy. Father Ed asked me to fill in for his weekly video reflection this week because he's taking a few well-earned days off. Father Ed specifically asked me to share a few thoughts with you about our upcoming year, especially as it relates to religious education and faith formation of our families, our children, our youth, and even adults. So I have a few thoughts to share. Just know that the reality is changing so dramatically all the time that we weren't sure what we were going to do, but it looks pretty clear that Divine Mercy is not going to be able to meet in person as usual at either St. Joe's or St. Anne's for our children. We believe gatherings are important, and we want to return to that as soon as it's safely possible to do so. But right now we don't feel like we can. So we're planning for at least through Christmas, through January, that we're going to change our program to be more online help with a family-based program. For some of you, that won't be new. Both at St. Joe's and the families that had children at St. Joe's and St. Anne's already were doing some of the lessons at home anyway. So it's our job to figure out, as a parish, it's our job to help you figure out how to do that best and also support you. What I know right now, and Father Ed and I have talked about this, is we don't want anything that is going to add already a lot of stress to your life or a lot more work. So we're trying to find some resources and a program that will be fun and enjoyable for a whole family to do together. There will be an option to provide the family books at home like that, but maybe we'll find something else that we can do directly online and you can just do with your family, no matter if you have a first grader and a middle schooler, you can all do together. So I want your input about that, and you can find my email address on the website or call the parish to give me your input. As we look forward, I want to also take a moment to remind us that God's going to be with us in this. We're praying for guidance and wisdom and support, and I will invite all of you to continue to pray for that as well. I think this week's gospel that we're going to hear this coming Sunday is an important one for us to really listen to when we either go to Mass or participate in Mass online or on TV. We're going to hear a story that's going to be very familiar to most of us, and it's a very important story for our faith. Jesus, this from the Gospel of Matthew, and it's in chapter 14, if you want to look it up. The Gospel is going to be about the time that Jesus feeds the 5,000. Now, what we're not going to hear about much is that right before that, the Gospel has told us that John the Baptist, Jesus' cousin and prophet who was trying to bring people to Christ, has been arrested, and not only arrested but killed by Herod the king. And they know that Herod is out to get Jesus, so he goes away to pray. And I think he's going away because he's scared, because he knows people are after him, but also he needs to mourn his cousin. It was a horrible, violent death. So he goes away to pray, but people, by this time, Jesus has a reputation, right? People know there's something special about this man. He has a message to tell. So people start to follow him and join him in his place out in the wilderness. And they want to listen to him, and he sees this as an opportunity, and Jesus is compassionate and helpful, and he starts to talk to them and minister to them, tell them stories, and his compassion and love is just continues to draw people. So he's been there hours and hours, and finally his disciples, who are probably very tired and very hungry at this time, come up to him and say, "Look, Jesus, you got to wrap things up. Jesus, the people are hungry, it's time, there's no food here, we're in the middle of nowhere, you got to wrap it up." Jesus says, "Wait a minute." He says, "We can't just let them go, we need to feed them. You feed them, you're my disciples, you feed them." And they're like, "Jesus, wait a minute, this is, we can't feed them. All we've got are 2 fish and 5 loaves. And these aren't giant loaves either. Now, this is a real pretty picture, but it probably looked a little more like this. 2 measly fish and 5 small loaves of unleavened bread. And they're going, we can't feed 5,000 people to this. And Jesus says, gather them up and feed them. So they do. And somehow, the crowd of 5,000 people, and it was just, the gospel says it was 5,000 men, not people. So they didn't even count the women and children in this. They fed them with their 5 loaves and 2 fishes somehow, to the point that they had 12 baskets of leftovers. I don't know if you can see the baskets that were leftovers. They're big baskets too. These aren't tiny baskets they had left over. So I think the message for us in that, and there's a lot in this gospel, but the message for parents especially, and all of us at home who feel like I don't know enough, or I'm not good enough, or I don't have confidence in my faith, to know that Jesus says, I'm with you. And whatever you bring to it, whatever you can bring, I'll make it work. Jesus will make it work. So we're going to work with Jesus and God on this, and we're going to pray, and we're going to figure out how to make this new reality of whatever our religious education and faith formation is, to be a powerful experience of faith that will help transform the hearts of our children, our parents, our young people, and you, and all our adults listening. So we'll try to figure out some ways to do Bible study that's safe for adults. We'll maybe even bring some online speakers, some webinars that we can do online to figure out some socially, and if possible, we'll figure out some ways to do socially distanced gatherings whenever we can. And we'll continue to pray for an end to this pandemic so we can meet again as a faith family, shoulder to shoulder, and sing loud again. So I ask you for your input and your prayers as we continue to work to serve you, to bring God's word to us, to our parish family, to your family, and to our community. So thanks a lot. May God bless us all.